In a corporate world where all employees have great leaders with no egos that create fun cultures where people can do their best work, the employees and companies thrive while doing great things for the customers, themselves, and each other.
Well, we know that rarely happens. I'm Jeff Palacio. I have been a leader for over 40 years for every t-shirt size company, from small 16 employees to extra large over 1 million. Please join me while I interview outstanding leaders that will share stories of great leadership and not so great. It will help you become a better leader while poking fun about all the crazy shit that happens in corporate America. Welcome to a special edition of the Corporate Couch. These episodes will be more of a love seat that focuses on one topic and will run 15 to 30 minutes. For each special edition episode, you will hear from one or more outstanding leaders sharing their expertise on the most important challenges in corporate America today. Welcome to another special edition of the Corporate Couch podcast. This is part 3 of our 3-part series on postural therapy and how it helps people. And I'm very honored to have Rick Mathis, the owner of Align Pain Solutions, on for the 3rd time to talk about how he helps people. So Rick, welcome.
Yeah, Jeff, good to see you again.
Yeah, I feel like we always record on a Friday, which is always a nice time to record because it's end of week. And we usually record in the afternoon, so we can go out and have a few beers after this, if that's all right. Since I'm a client, I just want to make sure.
Do your thing, brother.
Anyhow, So the first 2 episodes, really a lot of information, but I think it had more of kind of people that wanted to get rid of pain. You had that near fatal car accident. Where your Honda Accord became a Honda accordion, and it was, you had so many back surgeries and things like that, and thought you might not be able to walk without assistance, and let alone play tennis and hike mountains. And here you are in great shape, and your story about that we've told. But so I signed up because it wasn't about I was suffering from any pain. I just wanted to increase my performance and increase my mobility, but and I'm still working with you and your team to do that. But let's talk about other ways so the people that don't experience pain, but maybe would be very interested in improving their day-to-day or athletic performance.
We consider every one of our clients an athlete, whether it's 16-year-old football player, the 40-year-old software person who plays pickleball a couple times a week, or the senior citizen whose sport is working in the garden and loving on their grandkids, right? And our whole thing is let's train you for your sport, whatever your sport is. I've had athletes where their sport is playing the cello or playing the guitar. Those all require physical demands. And the thing to understand about postural therapy, and what I tell every client that we start to work with, is if we do our jobs right, especially if they come to us because of a pain issue, I'll tell them, look, man, in 3-4 months, I want you to be so happy that you have that pain because it led you down this therapy path. And now your body is simply working better than it's worked in 5, 10, 20 years. And I'll give you a couple examples. Years ago, I had worked with this great young man who played football for one of the local powerhouse football teams here, high school football teams here in Austin. And man, I got to tell you, I grew up in Tucson, moved to Texas. You hear that Texas is like serious about high school football. Oh my gosh, man, you have no idea. It's like a religion here.
Yeah. Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I worked with this young man. He had a great experience. And then a couple years later, I get a call from his dad. He wants his younger brother to work with me. They both show up for the first appointment, dad and the 15, 16-year-old son. He was projected to start this following season on their offensive line as a sophomore in high school, which for this school was very unusual. And this was, I think, right after the spring semester had concluded. And they went, there's just one problem. His back hurts so bad he can't run. And if we don't fix this, two a days start. Two a days are where they practice morning, they practice in the afternoon. And he won't, if he can't run, he ain't going to be able to start. He may not even be able to be on the team. So, can you help him? Yeah. David, I can help you. And then I told him, I don't want you doing any weightlifting until I clear you to do it. And this is a 15, 16-year-old kid who played high school football. And it was like pricking a big balloon with a needle and just seeing him deflate. Right. He was like,
Right.
oh,
I'm sure it was his life.
oh, I can't weightlift at all. Not until you can run without pain. Okay. And he was compliant. And for the next 3, 4 visits, it was just him coming in. And then after a couple months, his dad showed up with him. And I knew something was going on because dad's there. And so they sit down in my office, and dad goes, David has a question for you. And I'm here because I want to hear your answer directly. I don't want to hear it through David.
Wow.
And David goes, I can run. I don't have any back pain. I feel great. Can I please start weightlifting again? And I said, yes, you can. Your first couple times out, what I want you to do is take every lift you do. I want you to double the reps, cut the weight in half, do one set, move on to the next one. It's going to feel like you're not doing anything, but I like to structure tests where if you fail the test, you pay for it for a day or two, not a month or two. And he was like, all right, fair enough. So he did that one time. He shows up a few days later for his second lifting session, and he sees that they're having what is called max day. And max day, for those who don't know, is when a football team divides you up by position, all the linemen, all the running backs, all the receivers, and they have a like 7, 8 different lifts. How much can you push? It's a competition. And they tell him, look, we assume you don't want to participate because you haven't lifted at full weight in a couple months. And he goes, no, I'll do it. And he sent me an email that night. He goes, I know I shouldn't have said yes, but I just couldn't resist. And then he goes, here's the thing. Not only did I have no issues, I was at least 20 to 30% stronger in every lift than I was back when I was lifting 2 months ago,
Wow.
4 or 5 times a week. How is that possible? I don't understand how that could happen. And it was a great question. And what I told him was, look, let's take a squat, and I'm going to make a number up because I don't know the exact number, but let's say that there's 18 different muscles that need to be working for you to functionally perform a squat in a biomechanically correct way. Your posture was so compromised, you were using 7 or 8. The
Wow.
other 11 were just offline. Now, all 18 are working. Are the original 7 or 8 weaker or stronger than they were 2 months ago? They're probably weaker because they haven't been lifting, but now you're bringing all the muscles to the party. So
Right.
you just became functionally stronger. And we will consistently see this. People will start doing this work and then they'll go back to the gym and go, wow, I'm moving more weight now than I have ever. And I haven't been lifting for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. When a joint is out of position, it can't work as efficiently as it's supposed to work. And our job is to simply get those muscles back in the position they were designed to be in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I love that. I kind of have two questions. One's not as serious as the other, so I'll ask the not serious one. Have you seen a rise in pickleball athletes coming into your clinic or work as or becoming clients?
I just worked with a new client this morning who
Yeah,
lives down in Houston,
yeah.
and he took up pickleball about a year ago, and about 6 months later tore a meniscus in his left knee. And he's gone to the surgeon. The surgeon's like, "Yeah, you got a torn meniscus, but you don't need surgery. Surgery's not really going to help. PT's not particularly effective. Just I recommend you just live with it."
Yeah.
And he's been trying to live with it, but it's been hurting more and more and more. So, yeah, we got our work today started, and we're going to get him back on the pickleball court pain free here pretty shortly.
So, is there anything in terms of obviously this athlete could not lift because of it would have just hurt his back more. But is there any type of exercises that you tell people to avoid, or it's just really a unique per individual and what's going on with their life and the body? Yeah.
That's a great question. And there's no global answer. It all depends upon what they want to do. and what their unique issues are. So I've had runners where I've told them, I don't want you running until we clear certain postural and functional milestones. And I know that the hip is going to put the foot and the knee in the position it's supposed to be in, as opposed to where it's been putting it. Weightlifters that I want to lay off lifts, or maybe we change their lifting protocol to avoid certain lifts. In general, I want people as active as possible. I want them to be able to do more of what they love to do, not less. But sometimes we got to take a step back and give the body a break while we put things back where they're supposed to be.
Any other examples that come to mind in terms of success with athletes, whether they're pickleball players or elite athletes?
Yeah, one of my favorite stories. I used to work with a guy that played in the NBA, and he was a guard at the time for the Boston Celtics. And they were in the playoffs, and they were the number one seed in the East. And they lost the first two games at home to the Chicago Bulls. And I was traveling, and I get to my hotel one afternoon, and I'm flipping through channels looking for something while I'm unpacking, and I find that game two was on. So I'm like, oh, let me watch it. And I'm watching my guy. And the guy that I was working with was great at doing this work in the off season, but then during the season, he wouldn't communicate very well. He would only sporadically do his stuff. And I'm watching the game, and I don't like what I'm seeing at all. He's not playing well, and all of his major postural faults are back, and they lose. And he goes like 1 for 6 from 3 point range. And I'm like, I'm frustrated. The next morning, I'm about to go for a run, and I'm thinking about this guy. And finally, I can't take it anymore. And I send him a text. And I figured it was the last time I would ever communicate with him, because the text, this is literally what the text said: you look like crap and you're playing like crap. If you want to fix it, let me know. Send. And I figured he'd look at it and go, screw him, and that'd be the end of it.
Right.
I get a text back like 5 minutes later, and he goes, can you get to Chicago and help me? I'm like, no, dude, I just got to Florida. But what I can do is let's get you into the clinic that was there at the time in Chicago. They'll bring me up on Zoom, and I'll work with you that way. And so that's what we did. And it was interesting. He brought one of the team's trainers. And as I'm assessing my guy posturally and functionally, I'm pointing out what I'm seeing to the other trainer. And he's like, oh, yeah, we know about that stuff. So I'm giving him a look like, well, if you know about it, why
Right.
aren't you doing anything about it? And he can see my look, and he goes, yeah, that's just the way he is. That stuff doesn't change. And he's talking about his posture as if it's like his eye color, right?
Right.
Something that can't change. And I'm like, well, let's take a look at him in about 15 minutes. And I give him a short 10-minute routine to do. By the end of the routine, he looks completely different. The trainer is blown away. And I tell him, look, man, do this routine before every game and before every practice, and your body's just going to work better. And I look at the score of the game the next night. They win easily in Chicago, and my guy shoots 4 for 7 from three and was like their MVP of the rest of the series. And they went on to win the next two series. Why did he shoot better? His hips were in such radically different positions that imagine somebody shooting a jump shot.
Right.
He's pushing his feet into the ground and trying to elevate, but because there's uneven force production, left
Right.
versus right, his body's twisting in space, and now he's got to compensate with moving around his hand and wrist to try to keep tracking the basket. We take that out of play. Now his body's working the way it's designed to work. I love that as an example of the more your posture aligned, the better your body is going to not just feel, but the better it's going to function no matter what you do.
Yeah, no, that's it. Incredible. I mean, that's definitely has helped me as we've talked about. I love the examples, and one of the reasons I'm working with your team is because I know it's just foundational. The ankle bone's connected to the knee bone, to the hip, to the shoulder, or the neck, and I believe in it. But any other thoughts, Rick, in terms of people that are interested in improving their performance, whether that's pickleball or gardening or swimming with throwing the grandkids in the pool? What any closing thoughts on that?
I guess what I'd really like to leave your listeners with is the concept that your posture matters. Your postural health is a key variable in the quality of your physical experience. I wrote a blog post a few months ago about how, in my opinion, postural therapy should be the foundation of every health and wellness and fitness routine. Why? Because to the degree your posture is compromised, let's take let's take a person who's going to the gym 3, 4 times a week and they wonder why they're not getting proper results. I had a friend who reached out to me and said, I've started working out again, but every time I do glute exercises, my back hurts and I don't feel anything in my glutes. And she was really frustrated because she wanted to get a more toned butt. And I knew what she looked like posturally. So I was like, well, you can do all the bridges and hip thrusts you want. All you're going to do is crank your back. So I wrote her a simple 7, 8 minute routine. She sends me a text a week later and goes, holy crap, I did that routine every day for 2, 3 days. Go back to the gym. My glutes are on fire. Now the work is going where it's supposed to go.
Right.
If you're a walker, a hiker, a pickleball player, a runner, do you want your body to work optimally? If you do and you're willing to do a 10, 12 minute routine on a pretty close to daily basis, you can get your body working better than it's worked in years.
Right.
So what I would really encourage people to do is understand the importance of posture and how it relates and drives their physical experience and how they feel and function. Your posture matters.
Yeah, I love that. And we'll include the link to that blog post in the episode description. Rick, it's been a pleasure. You're the first guest that we've done a 3-part series with. I know how much you've helped me, and I hope some of our listeners take advantage of your great services to help them.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to have these chats with you, Jeff.
Thank you for listening to this special edition of The Corporate Couch. If you enjoyed the episode, I would love for you to take 2 minutes out of your day to rate us 5 stars and write a review. Please join me weekly where I interview great leaders that share their career journey and their leadership wisdom.